Hello and welcome to Entrepreneur TV. I'm your co-host, Velma Gallant. Excited to be here today. We have a very fascinating topic today. Today's topic is how these five things cost me $2.5 million with the FTC. So our special guest today had a little bit of FTC fun. Anik Singhal is a serial entrepreneur, speaker, best-selling author, and devoted philanthropist. He started his entrepreneurial journey in 2002 as a college student at the University of Maryland, and since then has built 9 successful companies while scaling to 30 million plus a year. Anik is one of the world's foremost authorities in entrepreneurship, having taught over 500,000 entrepreneurs all over the world. He's the founder and CEO of Learn Inc., a Business Week top young entrepreneur and 2-time Inc. 500 CEO. Welcome to the show, Anik.
Thank you so much for having me. I was just laughing when you said FTC fund. Those are two words I will never, ever, ever put in the same sentence, paragraph, page, same day. But
Right?
yeah,
Yeah,
that's one way of putting it.
that's what we call sarcasm.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So tell me a little bit about yourself before we dive into the FTC fund.
Yeah. So, thank you for first of all for having me, and thank you for all that are listening for listening. So I have been an entrepreneur, online marketer, digital, whatever you want to call me, for 21 years now. So I started out of college. I was in college. I was studying. First, I was studying. I was in pre med. I was like, okay, can't do this. It's not for me. I switched universities. Then I was studying finance. I was actually working as a financial planner while still in college, and I was like, that's not for me. Turns out what I really loved was marketing. Turns out what I really wanted to do was be an entrepreneur. I didn't like the idea of getting a job and doing that whole shindig, and so I just started trying to look for something. I didn't have a lot of money, so I started Googling and trying. I mean, this is how I always tell the story. Google was new when I started trying to figure out how to make money online, right? And It led me down this path to a forum where they taught how to sell information products. And that to me just made a lot of sense. College student, I was spending thousands on textbooks. I'm like, I get it, education. My dad's always
Mhm.
been big on education, and it just kind of fell into that world, and it's served me really really well. I've been through the ups and through the downs. I've built amazing things. I've been near bankruptcy twice, and I've got that whole entrepreneurial story. It's a part of who I am. It's my DNA. I've been doing it for 20 plus years, and I've sold couple $100 million worth of stuff. I've built different types of companies. I've built e-commerce companies, Amazon companies, consulting companies, information selling companies. I have a real estate, my wife and I do a lot of real estate. So kind of been around the block when it comes to entrepreneurship, and worked with some amazing people, which has been a true blessing. I mean, I can text Robert Kiyosaki right now, which is the first book I ever read
So
was Rich Dad Poor Dad. The first book I ever read changed my life, and I'm friends with him. He wrote the foreword to my first book ever. I can text Damon John right now. I'm friends with Damon John, one of the sharks from Shark Tank. Like, what a cool thing to be able to say in your life. We published him in our company as well. Les Brown, Bob Proctor was one of my mentors of mentors. I mean, loved him, love him, miss him. But I got a chance to work with him, be with him, go to his home. Like, it was such an honor. And so I've had all these crazy experiences, Velma. Like, I've made a movie I'm on IMDb as a listed actor and as a producer. It was a Bond spoof that I filmed in India for a sales video. I mean, it's like I've lived like a crazy life for someone who's 40, and that includes being sued by the FTC at this point. But um, it's so I've done a lot, and one thing I'm really proud of is I've done well, irregardless of what I think in the end the FTC had to say about me. With all due respect to them, and I have nothing but respect for them, but I don't agree with what their consensus on me was, and neither does the market. I've served people well. I have been good by people, and the data upon which I built my business backs me up on that.
mhm.
We had an exquisite record with our customers and with our vendors. Never been sued by anybody other than the FTC, and I'm proud of what I've built, and I'm proud of what I learned in the process of having
Mm.
gone through the thing with the FTC. I will say this too. People say, "What was it like?" And I hate to use bad words, but imagine where hell goes when hell has been bad. That's where I was. It's the easiest way I can explain it. Imagine where hell goes when hell has been bad. That's where I was for 2 years. I had a year of my life, where I have Crohn's disease. I have a lot of health issues. I've had a lot of massive surgeries. I was in the ICU way back, we're talking 15 years ago. I was in the ICU for 92 days. I was losing 2 pints of blood a day. So they would do 2 pints of transfusion per day for a period of weeks. And it got to a point where they're like, "You need surgery." 10-hour long surgery, 50-50 chance of me waking up. I had to say goodbyes before I went under surgery. I woke up. I had lost the ability to walk because I was lying flat. If they even picked up my bed, like if they put it up, my heart rate would go to 180. So
Mm,
literally, my legs had completely diminished. I had to go through physical therapy to walk again. 6 months after that surgery, I need another surgery. 1 month after that, I need another surgery. So in a year, I have 3 surgeries. I have all these crazy things happen to me. It's a horrible, tough, challenging year. And here's what I tell people: being under investigation by the FTC for the 18 months that it took us to start and end our case was worse than that year of my life. And I say this as much as I can and as loud as I can to people to drive awareness of the fact. Now, I also like to say this because the FTC was actually incredibly professional. They didn't raid my office with the FBI. They didn't put a gun to my head. They didn't make me shut my business down. Every time we asked for an extension, they gave it to us, and they were professional. I even went to the FTC office. I met the 2 people that were the 2 attorneys against us, and we sat and we presented to them for an hour. But it's not what they did that was what made it so torturous for that 18 months. It was not knowing. It was
mm,
having everything you've done put under a microscope. It was battling every day with the fact that, am I a bad person? Oh my God, did I hurt people? Like, I thought of doing such a great job, running such a great. You just go through so much, you start to lose your mind in a lot of, and then, other things like the FTC investigative document came to me a month after I just had my first child. My wife had just given birth to our first child. I was 2 months away from selling the company. I had a lifelong dream to sell the company before I turned 40. I was 39. I was about to step down as CEO. Building the original company was the hardest thing I've ever done. It was the hardest type of business to streamline, but we had worked really hard, built the team, done everything, done it right. We were gonna sell. It was epic. It was awesome, and it was all gone the minute I got that notice. So I was just battling so much during that time and having to let go of most of the team, having to reshape the business, having to deal with to know that this is going to be released to the market at some point and the people are going to know about it and deal with all of that. Thankfully, we're on the other side of it, and I've had
mhm,
nothing but amazing support. And halfway through my investigation, here's what I figured out. I'm looking at it and I said, why don't I know this stuff? I'm considered as one of the industry's top guys. I've
mm,
been doing it for 21 years. I am learning so much when I'm inside the belly of this thing, and I've had an by the way, people say, "Well, you should have, you were doing such big numbers, you should have had an attorney." I had an attorney, 15 years, probably gave him over $1 million in reviews. I had a full-time paralegal working for me in my company reviewing our sales calls. But guys, get what? Guess what? You gotta have the right attorney, and they gotta know the right things because we only could do what we knew. And so I learned so much, and I'm sitting there thinking, if I don't know this stuff, can you imagine the level of people out there that don't know it. And so I thought, maybe this is my opportunity to turn my mess into my message. Ed Milet says you're the person you used to be is your best customer. And
mhm.
so I really started taking notes. I started paying attention, and I found an amazing attorney who I've co-written this book with, who really compliance attorney. I mean, this guy is the real deal. 20 years, that's all he's done. And I told him, I said, we got to get your message and your training and your knowledge out to the world. So that's what we're doing now. And so that's my whole backstory, been up, down, got the whole Hollywood side of it. And right now, I would say we're going through kind of a reshaping and letting the universe and the world take me in the direction that it wants me to go to. It's not easy, and it hasn't been easy, and I'm 40 now, and I didn't get to make that dream come true of selling a company before 40, but you know what? I'll probably build right back up and bigger and better this time in, a fifth of the time or sixth of the time with the lessons I've learned, and along the way, serve people in a topic that no one else can.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Well, and that was why I was pretty excited. I was excited, not just pretty excited. I was very excited about this conversation because it's not one that I see out there really anywhere. And so, I mean, I scoped out your YouTube. I scoped out the Facebook page that you shared with me. I like the title of what you're doing there. I'm just going to throw the website up here really quick. Don't say that.com.
Yep.
uh, I got a feeling that if you say that, whatever that is, you might be having a little bit of fun with the FTC too. So don't say
Exactly.
that.
Yeah.
So if there was a lot of stuff that you shared in there, and in the 20 years that you've been doing business and the variety of businesses that you've touched with both those ups and downs, I could imagine that you've learned a lot of really important and valuable information. And you've been, like we said in your introduction, you've been training entrepreneurs during this time. Over 500,000 is what we shared. Looking back at what you shared and what you taught, and now comparing it to what you learned through this experience, what are some of the top things that you would be offering now in this training that you never offered before?
Oh, such a what a good question. It's one of my favorites. Very perceptive question. So I'll come back and we can talk about like the top 5 types of violations that can really get you flagged. But I love this question because it's going to lead me to a little bit of a philosophical conversation about the
Mm.
idea of direct marketing, right? And so I have re-questioned. So let's just get to it. The regulators, by the way, you're not just at FTC risk. State AGs, there are 50 states. There are 50 attorneys general. Okay? Any one of them can come for you. You don't have to be in the state. It doesn't have to be the state that you live in. Anyway, as long as you're selling in their state, it's open. Consumer lawsuits, just a one-on-one consumer lawsuit, and then, of course, a big uprise right now in class action lawsuits. There are attorneys who specialize in this. So there are attorneys who look for this. They don't charge clients anything, and they go and they find your clients, and they put together a class action lawsuit to come after you. So thankfully, 90% of the rules are the same. So if you abide by the guidelines by the FTC, you're kind of covering a lot of other landscapes as well. So direct marketing just seems to be frowned upon by the regulators in its original format. Direct marketing is this idea where a dollar in, two out, dollar in, two out. It's very different than brand advertising, right? You don't see direct marketers for the most part running TV commercials unless it's an infomercial in which they know a dollar in and two out. They're really looking for the immediate transaction. So this comes to the world of online when you see people running webinars or you're seeing them run book a call funnel. And what you're seeing is that they want the money out fast and they want to scale it. So that means the more you scale your advertising, the more cold your audience is getting, right? So
Mhm.
the person that you're targeting doesn't know you at all, but now in your marketing, in your data, in your metrics, you need to convert them in a span of a day or two to pay back Facebook ads and pay for all the other things. So you need to get a hyper conversion of a high ticket product on someone who doesn't know you. So what do? You insert hype. You insert testimonials, claims, things you say to create excitement. And those are the very things that then flag the regulators against you. So, what am I teaching now to people is a lot of people will come and say, well, compliant marketing just doesn't work. I thought that too. I literally thought a couple years ago when this whole thing happened and I started to learn the rules a year ago, I said, let me just throw in the towel and go buy some subways or something because these rules I'm never going to be able to market. And turns out not true. I've been doing compliant marketing now for a little over a year and a half, and it works. It actually really does. Your conversions do drop in the traditional format. And that's the format I want to change because I changed it. And now all of a sudden I'm seeing great results. We've actually helped multiple companies that are 8-figure companies at this point clean up their marketing, go compliant, and some have actually reported an increase in conversion. So let me explain hype, right? Direct marketing in the end a lot of times relies back on hype. How do you replace the effect that hype has on conversion? Only one way: trust. See, take
Mm.
someone you trust in your life, Velma. I don't need my dad. If my dad wants to sell me something or wants to get some money from me or wants me to do something with him, he's not going to call me and be like, hey, son, so and so said such, 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 da, 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 da. He doesn't need to. He's going to call me and say, I think this is really good for you. We should do this. I'm like, okay, dad, let's do it. Right. Or another example, people follow Tony Robbins, right? Tony Robbins doesn't need to get up there and say all these testimonials. It's Tony Robbins. I'm using extreme examples to drive a point home, which is the only way you can replace hype is with trust. The only way you build trust is with time and with value and with content and by showing up persistently and consistently. Direct marketing is the practice of meeting a girl or a woman on the street and taking her out for one date and then getting down on one knee and asking her to marry you. It's not the common scenario. Doesn't typically work out for you. But if you take the girl out on a great date and you show up consistently and you do that over the span of a year, year and a half, and then you ask the girl to marry, your odds are a lot higher, right? And so the analogy I've been using for people is your marketing models now need to change. You need to change the metrics upon which you track your marketing. It can't be 3 days, 10 days, 15 days, 20 days. It needs to be 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. But what's going to end up happening is you're building a better business. You're building better customers, the right customers. The LTV, the lifetime value, will be insanely higher, and your business will be something that's built on actual solid foundation, can last a lifetime, could be passed down generations. But when you come in and you write a hypey webinar, a hypey sales pitch, and you go, and you sell, even if the regulators don't come for you, mark my words, I promise you, you're not going to like your customers. They're going to drive you insane, and your business has a 3 to 5 year shelf life, period. That business will
Okay.
not last you a lifetime.
Okay, there is a lot of juicy stuff in there. And so I'm going to get through it quickly because I do want to touch on the actual subject of our conversation here. What I heard was time plus value plus content plus consistency equals a trusting relationship with your customers.
Yep. Absolutely.
And I love that you're talking about changing the metrics that, and the reality is, and I'm going to use a little bit of an analogy. The faster a building goes up, the less safe it is. So a building that is built slowly with proper tradesmen and the quality materials is going to last a lot longer than when it's thrown up really fast with fastly sourced materials and stuff like that. So that's kind of the parallel that I'm seeing with this is if I'm building a business, I really want it to be with quality materials so that it's lasting. And even if you are the kind of person who's looking at an exit strategy like you were at 40, then you've got a better chance of making it to that.
100%. I mean, Velma, which bridge do you want to cross over? The one that was built in a month or the one that was built over 3 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like
exactly.
If someone wants to, don't pitch me a bridge and say, "Oh, we built that super fast." I say, "I'm good. I'm gonna go off the other way, the longer way." So it's gosh, it's a realization that took a while, but it just makes so much sense now. That which
Mhm.
builds quickly will crumble quickly. That which builds with time will last a time. Simple.
I like that. I like that a lot. Okay. So that was a lot of really good and fascinating information there. And thank you for sharing a lot about your journey and what you got out of it. Let's talk about those 5 things that cost you. Let's talk about the FTC fund.
All right, there we go. All right. So I'll start with the first one just because this was a really big part of my case and it may or may not be relevant to some people. But if you're running a telesales team, this was just a big part of what happened. And this was one of my big, like, what? I can't do that. And there's no documentation that says I can't do that. So this is one that most people will never know. There's 4 words and they cost me everything. And had these 4 words not existed on my sales calls, I can't say that the case would have gone away, but it would have been drastically different. What is your goal? So what is that? Why is that a problem? That was on our sales calls. It was a part of our script. Again, lots of legal reviews, paralegal, this, that. Nobody knew that that's a problem because there's no documentation that specifically states. They call it goal setting. Okay. And they do this behind the scenes. I've heard from my attorney. I wasn't on the call, so I haven't heard them say it, but I've heard from my attorney. It's called goal setting. He's been in the room where they've discussed it at the FTC. Goal setting is an implied earnings claim. So I ask you, Velma, what do you want? What is your goal? You say, Anik, I want to be able to build a business that can make me $12,000 a year or a month so that I can blah, blah, blah. I say, great, let's help you with that. Or I say, great, here's the next step. Or I say, awesome, let's get started. Any way, shape, or format, I have basically given you the implied impression that I accept your goal and that it's very achievable and that I can help you achieve it because I don't have substantiation or typicality studies to prove that that's a typical result of the person I work with. So it's considered, the goal setting is considered an implied earnings claim. All right. And this became a big part of my case. So whether this is one of the 5 or not, I just wanted to mention it because I,
Mm.
most people that hear this go, "What? I didn't know you can't say that." Yeah, I didn't know either. You can't. It's very specific. There's no way around this. Goal setting. Now, if your client ends up telling you on their own, like you're on the phone with someone trying to prospect a sale, they're, I want to make $10,000 a month. You can't just ignore it. It again becomes implied earnings claim. You have to stop them and say, "Hey, that's a great goal. Just want to be very clear. This is what we're about here. I can only talk to you about what I can control. I can't control your outcome, right? So I'm not in any
Mm.
way promising you one way or the other, but I am here to deliver you this. I can control the experience and the deliverable. And you got to bring them right back. You have to do that. Otherwise, if you just don't even acknowledge it, they can say that you've implied that you accept it. Okay, number 2, absolute statements, earnings claims. So let's talk about earnings claims. There's actually 4 types of claims, all right? There's a earnings claim, an implied claim, there's a lifestyle claim, and a performance claim. So an earnings claim, we see these all the time too, but we innately know these to be bad. So if I ever talk about an earnings claim, people are like, yeah, I get it. By the way, I should take a minute to say, guys, I'm not a lawyer. I don't even pretend to be one. So I don't even play one on TV. So please, everything I say is just from my experience, my education. It's for learning. It's for entertainment purposes. Only go make sure you double check with an attorney always, or check with Greg Christiansen, who's my business partner, who is an attorney. So the 4 types are earnings claims, with expressed earnings claims, which again most people say, yeah, I know. That's here's how you can make $5,000 a month. Well, that's an express earnings claim. It's very specific. Do you have backup for that? You better be able to show that that's a typical result of a typical customer. Number 2 is an
Mhm.
implied earnings claim. So I love marketers, right? So Velma, marketers love to say, well, how do I say that? I get this question all the time. That's why the book's called Don't Say That. The point isn't the words, guys. You can't play a legal game with the regulators. So an implied earnings claim is like this. Well, I never said how you can make $1,000 a day with my product. But every example you gave, every hypothetical you gave, every testimonial you used talked about that. So you're implying that result, and that's a problem. It's a violation. Number 3,
Mm.
lifestyle claim. So I don't say anything. I don't talk about, but you know what? I got my Porsche here. I got my Ferrari here. I got my mansion behind me. I got a pile of cash right here. That being, again, exaggerating, but that's a lifestyle claim. If I keep showing you all these things, I'm injecting that too. They don't like it. They actually specifically really, really hate these. They name it in multiple cases. And number 4, the performance claim. This is for those who are in personal development, who are in coaching, health, like, hey, lose 30 pounds in 30 days. Well, that's an express claim, but they consider it under a performance claim. So there's 4 types of claims. This comes directly from my attorney, my friend, my business partner on this way he explained it to me. So claims is number 2. It's going to get you in trouble. They really focus on claims. Every claim has to have substantiation. Okay. Now we go to number 3, testimonials. They're really honing down on testimonials right now. So they just do not like the usage of endorsements. There are 4 specific rules to using testimonials. All 4 have to be true. Otherwise, do not use the testimonial. Number 1, you need a written consent and affidavit from the person whose testimonial you were using. Just because they posted in your Facebook group some positive result, you can't take a screenshot of that and start using it in your marketing. They can sue you at any time and take a portion of the revenue you've generated. It's illegal to use their face and likeness and name without a written permission, and you want an affidavit from them. So that consent should be also an affidavit that's saying, I attest to what I said, it's true. All right. But does that mean you don't need substantiation? Nope. Number 2, 4 rules, right? Second rule, you have to have substantiation. So, Velma, if you just told me, Anik, your coaching is so amazing, I made $22,000 because of it, and then I just shove that into my marketing, which is what most people do. I trust Velma. Velma told me. I didn't say it. She said it. Well, guess what? It's in your marketing. It's your claim now. So I actually want to use that testimonial. I need to message you and say, show me the proof that you did this. Yes, it's a bit imposing. But it is what it is. All right, number 3, and this is where most marketers are going to fall apart, and why you won't be able to use testimonials. Typicality. So great that Walmart made $22,000 with my coaching. Is that the result of the typical customer that goes with my coaching? Do I have proof that that's a typical result? If it's not, can't use it. Got to use only the specific results that are typical, and you got to be able to prove that it's typical. 98% of people fall apart on this. Now, it is doable. A lot of people go, oh, I can't do it. No, Beachbody and some big companies, they do a great job with this. There's a way to do it, but it's not easy. It changes how you deliver your program. It changes how you do everything. And number 4 is proximate disclosures. So a lot of people like to say, hey, at the beginning of the presentation, I just want you to know everything here is atypical, blah, blah, blah. We're just an educational resource, da, 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 and they never say it again. Every time you use testimonials, claims, even if they're substantiated, whatever, you have to have a disclaimer proximate to the time that it's being said, even if that means it's repeatedly in your sales page or your presentation. So all 4 of these rules need to be there in order for you to be able to use a testimonial. It's very rare that you see that. I will tell you this, I've switched over now in my business to using character and experience-based testimonials only. And I love it and it works great. So people that can attest to my character and people that talk about their experience in my programs, I still need the signed release and I still like to do disclosures, but I don't need to substantiate anything and I don't have to worry about typicality. Those are the 2 hardest things, and yet
Mhm.
it still does the purpose of what it's intended for. So testimonials, that was number 3. Number 4 is just how you treat refunds. I just finished doing a podcast episode with our attorney that's going to go live next week about refunds, guarantees, and I'll tell you right now, most people do not know this. You are not legally allowed to have a no refund policy. It's illegal. Most people don't know that.
Okay.
Right? Exactly. Right. Got a reaction. I love hearing it. A lot of people love it. A lot of coaches love saying we have a strict no refund policy. You are legally, federally required to have something called a cooling off period. It is written. It is. I forgot the actual act. He just mentioned it. It's a funky name that regulates all refunds, warranties, and guarantees. 3-day cooling off period is required. So, and not only is it required, you have to let the person know about it. I was laughing on the podcast with him. I said, I said, auditorily and in the contract signature, there has to be an initial next to the fact. You have to inform. Some of the states are even more than 3 days. And what's happening right now is there's a slew of class action lawsuits starting to happen for companies that don't offer the 3-day cooling off period. You know what happens when you don't offer it? Not only are you in violation of a strict actual law. This isn't like a regulation by the FTC. This is a law. Not only that, but you're basically saying what they're saying is if you don't actually physically say what your cooling off period is, then it's infinite. So your client can come back in 7 years and you legally have to give them the money because you never stated it. So the other problem with the refunds is when you don't give it, it creates complaints. And here's another thing that most people don't know. A BBB complaint is the same thing as an FTC complaint. But most people didn't know that. I didn't know that, not until way after my case was over. There's a platform called the Sentinel platform, all right, that the FTC created. All BBB complaints against you or your company go directly into the Sentinel system, which is the system that the FTC uses and monitors to see a rise in complaints to go after people. I never knew that. Now, we don't know what other sources go into it. State AG sources could be in there. I don't know, but I've asked my attorney 15 times. He has 100% confirmed BBB complaints go right into the Sentinel system. So when you're not issuing refunds, you're encouraging your clients to go out there, leave negative reviews and create complaints and go to the BBB, which is you getting flagged directly. That's the easiest way to get flagged by the FTC. Number 5, there's a bunch of things we could get into. You've got false scarcity, which is big. You've got value stacking. It's really hard to come up with the 5th one because there's some big ones there, but I will tell you that in my case, both of these were called out. So here, I'm gonna cheat and I'll give you guys 6. Value stacking. My package is worth $32,000. How? If your PDF is worth $1,000, how exactly is your PDF worth $1,000? Because you and someone around your marketing team. Sorry, I sound a little judgmental. I did all this stuff too, guys. But now that I'm like on the other side and I look at it, I'm like, what are you doing? Stop it. Right? You can't so if you want to say something is worth something, you have to have had a substantial representative amount of sales at that price. Then you can say it was worth that. You can't just make up values to stuff because it's fake. It's deceptive Commission Act. It's classic deceptive advertising. And then the last, number 6, I'll just tell you is this was also named in our case a few times, false scarcity. So when you're on a webinar, next 20 seats, get this. I mean, you get into it, you get excited, you say stuff, but can you prove that it's really the next 20? Did number 21 not get it? Can you prove that? Because you have to prove it. So if you're going to use scarcity, you got to damn well prove without a shadow of doubt that you abided by that scarcity clause. So there are some others. That's why I wrote the book. But these are some of the main ones that I see happening all the time. in marketing, and they also just so happen to be the main ones that now you're starting to see in the complaints of the regulators that are settling with companies.
Okay, there was a lot of really good stuff in there. I just want to clarify one thing. What did you mean by a cooling off period? I suspect I know what that means, but I
Yeah,
want to know what you meant
it's
by it.
another word, another way to call it is a right to rescission or right of rescission. So it's 3 days is the federal requirement. So if I purchase a product, I have 3 days to change my mind for any reason, and I have to be given a refund, period. So if I'm buying something on the phone, I'm buying a $10,000 coaching package from you, I have 3 days upon which you cannot refuse me under any rule. I have a no questions asked right of rescission, a cooling off period. It's meant to protect consumers who are put in a high stress, high pitch, aggressive place where they feel uncomfortable and end up buying something. They have the ability to
Mhm.
go home, retreat into a safe space, and then pull out of that transaction. Um, so it's a cooling off period, right to rescission. 3 days is the federal. Some states, Utah and a couple others, I think California as well, goes. I think the highest one goes to 7. 46 states out of the 50 have specific rules around these types of things. 4 don't, so they just go by the federal law. But
Mhm.
there are state by state rules to know too.
Interesting. Okay. Well, there was a lot of really valuable information in here, and a lot of surprising information because these are things that I know I've seen go on for the last 20 years. So it's, I'm a bit surprised. I'm a bit surprised by
I
this.
know.
So, okay. So I want to make sure that the people who are watching this know where to find you. Now, I know I already popped this up before. Don't say that.com. That's the name of the book as well, isn't it?
It is. It is the name of the book. The book is not yet out, so as of the time we're doing this, you can join the pre-alert list, but it'll be out hopefully by end of March. We are on the 4th write of it, so I mean we're trying to make it really, really, really good. And I would recommend, guys, don't buy one, buy 10, buy 20 copies. Make sure everyone in your
Yeah,
marketing team, sales team, your contractors, they all have to have it. It serves as a checklist to help you.
that's great. And you mentioned a podcast too.
Yes. So same site. If you go to don'tsaythat.com, you can get a link to our podcast. Our podcast is also called Don't Say That. It's on YouTube and it's on all the different platforms. Every week we release an episode on Tuesday where we cover different topics. Like I said, we just filmed one today about refunds, guarantees, and warranties. And you get to hear from an attorney who's done it for 20 years, and you get to hear me, the marketer, questioning him and making sense of all of it.
That sounds great. Okay. Oh, I just noticed we had a couple of comments here. We had some people in here, and your link has been shared inside of the group. Thanks, Regina, for doing that. And for those of you who are out in YouTube land, come on over to the group. You'll be able to connect with more heart-based business owners like myself, like Anik. I had to look at it again. And Terry, and we would love to have you here. The community group is scrolling across the bottom there, and go check out Don't Say That in your podcasts and the website. Thank you so much for coming and joining me here today, Anna. This was a very fascinating and very informative conversation. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me and sharing this time. And for everyone who watched, thank you so much for watching. And something I always like to say at the end of my talks, which is when life pushes you, stand straight, smile, and push it the heck back, guys. All the best.
Thanks so much. Take care.